Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. It's very exciting to be able to share my birthing experience with all of you ladies. I personally have found not only all four of my pregnancies, but our births to be amazing and incredible opportunities that I have had, and each one in and of itself has just been an amazing blessing and added something to our life. And so to have that opportunity to share it with you today is just a beautiful thing for me. Having my children is just everything. It's just so beautiful to me. I am a mother of four. I started having my children quite young in life. I got married at the age of 19. Pretty young compared to a lot of women in this day and age, but it was right for me. It was the right thing to do. And about a year into my marriage, a year and a half into my marriage with my husband, we decided we wanted to start a family and have our first child. And I thought, I'm going to go to the hospital, I'm going to get myself checked out, and I'm going to make sure I'm healthy, because I wanted to make sure everything was in checks and balances before we had our first daughter. And the Lord had a really big surprise for us, because we went to the hospital and I was already pregnant. I ended up being 3 months pregnant already with our first daughter, which was a really shocking and yet exciting experience to find out not only am I healthy, but I'm already carrying a child. And so for me, my first birthing experience was very pleasurable in that I was very much expecting to get very sick. I was very much expecting to have all the typical symptoms that a lot of women have during their first pregnancy. And I had none of that. Like I said, it really kind of took me by surprise. I felt completely normal. I felt just like my regular self. Only apparently I was expecting, and that was really exciting. And everything kind of progressed at a normal rate with our first pregnancy. Everything went great. Everything went well. And it was just such a beautiful experience. I think being able to feel that life inside of you and to feel that attachment, to that young life growing inside of you. And we had the greatest midwife who saw us through the end of our first pregnancy, and with the birth of our first daughter, we actually had a midwife deliver, and she was absolutely incredible. I think I learned a valuable lesson in our first daughter in knowing my own body. I think going into my first pregnancy and my first delivery, I took the doctors completely at their word, and whatever they said, I did. And it wasn't until I think after the birth of our first daughter that I really needed to learn kind of what I wanted from the birthing experience itself, and that kind of prompted me to do a little bit more research on my own and a little bit more exploration into the options I had in giving birth. So when a year and a half later we got pregnant with our second daughter, actually made our second delivery a lot easier. Although I will say the difference between having our first daughter and our second daughter was a huge difference between having a midwife deliver and a doctor deliver. And it was great to see the difference, because then, again, a year and a half later, all of our children tend to be about 2 years apart. When we delivered our third daughter, we went back to having a midwife, just because the experience with the midwife was just a much better experience, I think, having the midwife than having the doctor. And one of the things I learned about myself and about the birthing pregnancy the most was probably in learning how to wait during the actual birthing experience, because for me, like a lot of women, their water breaks and then the labor pains increase. And for me, I never had that experience. For whatever reason, my body was just not ready to open the placenta and for the baby to be released. And so by the time I got to my second, my third pregnancy, I had learned enough about my body to know that by the time I hit a certain point in my contractions, I needed them to actually break the water for me. And then the minute they did that, my delivery was much easier and much faster for me. and having the midwife helped with that. She helped me to learn to identify things like that and to listen to my own body and to what it was trying to tell me. And then, again, 2 years later, having my son and delivering him with the same method. All 4 of our children were delivered here at a local hospital, but generally through midwives. And again, I found the experience to be much more beneficial to us and to the babies in general, as opposed to when we went with just a standard doctor.